St. Louis Blues. From the tip-tops of the misty mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, Jonathan Stout and his orchestra extraordinaire come to take you from the bandstands of Harlem to the amphitheaters of Newport. From trembling trumpets to growling trombones to elegance personified in form and style. Tonight it's all the master of swing and serenade, Duke Ellington.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I see some of the folks are still straggling in, so we need you guys to be as loud as they would be if they had gotten here on time. Excellent. We'll check back in with you on the next after we end the next song, and we'll see what happens. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a night of celebrating the music of Duke Ellington and his orchestra. My name is Jonathan Stout, and I'm so excited to present this orchestra and play the music of Duke Ellington for you all tonight. How you guys feeling? That is the correct answer. We started things off with Duke Ellington's theme from 1927 to 1941 called East St. Louis Toodaloo. And then our first song was a tune called Jumpin' Pumpkins, which was actually written by his son, Mercer Ellington, and arranged by Duke. So, welcome. Up next for you, we're going to do a tune from This is the wrong set list. We're not... All right. Aha. Up next for you, we're going to do a tune from 1945. This is called Blue Cellophane. And this particular tune was written as a feature piece for the great trombonist Lawrence Brown. And Lawrence Brown is one of the most iconic members of the Duke Ellington fold. And if you ever hear like, ya, 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 in the trombone section, good chance that might have been Lawrence Brown. You know, like that kind of sound, when you hear that on a lot of those songs. That was what Lawrence Brown, one of his patented things. But this was written as a feature for him, and we're going to feature Lucian Cobb on it. And he's only been playing all of the sets plus both late nights, last two nights. So this should be very, very easy. His lips aren't tired at all. No, it's very, very easy. So we give you now Blue Cellophane. All right, so our next song is from 1937. And this was co-written by Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges. And this was a feature tune for Johnny, although really almost every song in the Ellington band was a feature for Johnny Hodges. And when asked, Duke Ellington would say that his favorite part of coming to work every day was getting to listen to Johnny Hodges. So we're going to be featuring Nathan Tokunaga on this one. Johnny Hodges was famous for playing alto saxophone, and he would also double on soprano. But at some point, he just never played soprano again. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what the soprano did and whose fault it was, but there was no more soprano not long after this was recorded. But this is a tune called Harmony in Harlem, and I first heard this tune because I recognized the Cootie Williams solo in it. And Cootie Williams was another one of the great Ellington side musicians, and he was sort of the inheritor of the chair of Bubber Miley, who had invented that kind of plunger trumpet style, or made that famous, not quite invented it, but Cootie Williams came up with a solo on this tune that was so good that he kept reusing it. And so in 1940, he left Duke Ellington's band to join the Benny Goodman Orchestra and the Benny Goodman Sextet. And when they would play Flying Home, he would use that solo as his solo in Flying Home. And later in 1941, when he left to start his own small band, he just made that solo the head of a new song. And it's one of my favorites. We're also going to feature Gordon Howe on that solo. So I just happened to be at a dance in Los Angeles, Lindy Groove, and I was DJing, and the DJ before me, Melissa Marzigliano, just happened to play this tune, and when it got to the trumpet solo, I was like, wait a second, I know that. And then I had to go on a whole deep dive to figure all of that out. So we share with you now from 1937, Harmony in Harlem. All right, our next song is from the year 1940. This was written and arranged by Duke and was titled in tribute to the great tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. And Duke was a very, very creative fellow. The sounds of the Duke Ellington Orchestra are something beautiful and unique and, you know, almost unheard of before. But there's never any first anything. And so this tune actually contains traces of W.C. Handy's 1916 Ole Miss Rag. And so I'm guessing Gordon Howe is probably the only one that's clocking that kind of stuff because he's the expert around here compared to me, for sure. But we play for you now, Bojangles. All right, everybody. We're going to heat it up just a little bit more before we cool it back down. And we're going to do an earlier tune. Many of the tunes that we're doing tonight are in a kind of golden period, sort of late 30s, early 40s. Some of them especially are from what is known as the Blanton-Webster Band, which was this one period where they had bassist Jimmy Blanton and saxophonist Ben Webster in the band at the same time. And so many of our favorite dance tunes come from that. But this is a tune from 1934, And this was named for the band's band boy, because you cannot run a band just by yourself, especially at the level that Duke was doing to it, and he needed staff. And so the band boy would help out and chase things down. So in honor of Richard Bowden, a.k.a. Stompy, Richard Bowden Jones, this is called Stompy Jones. All right. At late night tonight, we're doing a night led by Keenan McKenzie of original tunes. And I can speak for all of the people who contributed tunes to our nights that naming instrumentals is actually one of the hardest things in the world. And I would only hope that if I were ever that cool, that I got a song that was that good named after me, I would be pretty happy. So we give it up to Stompy Jones. Up next, we're going to do a song from the great musical Jump for Joy. And I will unpack all of the important stuff about Jump for Joy in the next set. But we're going to play one of the many, many, many tunes that comes from the musical Jump for Joy. This was later put in a movie, but we're going to do the original version with originally sung by Rienette, and this is called Blee Blip. Here's a Blee Blip. My love to you is true on account of I love you. A bleep blip, fly dee, flam, 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 hippie-a-do-bo-bye-o. My poor heart gives a start when the jitterbug just won't stop. Mix my spoon with my broom and let me blow your top. Ow! Up to you I sworn, on account of mine is yawn. Bleep blip, fly dee, flam, 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 hippie-a-do-bo-bye-o. Flam, 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 hippie-a-do-bo-bye-o. Duke Ellington's Blee Blip. Well, I think it's about time we bring out a proper vocalist. Please help me in welcoming our featured vocalist here at Lindy Focus, Laura Windley. We're going to do a tune from 1938, and this was transcribed by our very own Keenan McKenzie. This is called When My Sugar Walks Down the Street.
When he kisses me, I sure stay kissed. When my sugar walks down the street, the little birdies go tweet, tweet, tweet.
All right. Our next song, which is our second to last song of this set, I mean, that's how great these tunes are. The set is just flying by. But this next song comes to us from the year 1940. And this is another tune that was composed and arranged by Duke Ellington. Of all of the tunes that we've played in this first set, only Jumpin' Pumpkins, written by his son Mercer, and that last one, which was a popular song, only those two were not written by Duke. And Duke arranged all of these. Billy Strayhorn pitched in on Blee Blip. But that's one of the things that's unique about Duke, is he wasn't just a band leader whose taste and curation was the glue. He generated so much of this material himself. But there were always collaborators, and we're going to highlight those collaborators as we go. But this next one was all Duke, and this is called Harlem Airshaft. And this is sort of a bit of a tone poem, because the way Duke tells it, he was sort of envisioning the way that in an air shaft in an apartment building in a place like New York City, that was a place where you could kind of hear all the comings and going on upstairs and downstairs and all the different things that are happening. So it was sort of a slice of life, just kind of popping your head out into the air shaft and hearing your neighbor yell at their kid, or somebody else is making sweet nothings to their someone, and you would hear all the things. And so this is a little bit of Portrait of Harlem in Harlem Airshaft. Thank you all so much. You know, one of the things I was just noticing is that when we do these deep dives and we play through all of this material, even though we've done Duke Ellington several times since we started doing these projects in 2015, you notice new things each time we do it. And I was talking about how on Basie night, Basie often pitted his side musicians competitively against one another. So he would sometimes tell Herschel Evans that Lester Young had said something nasty about him behind his back to get him riled up, so that he would play more hot, when it was his turn, and that would rile Lester up. But I noticed that on several of the tunes, there might be two trumpet solos, like on that last one. That was Kris Vargas, by the way. There was both an open trumpet solo and then a muted trumpet solo. But it was the same person both times, and that on the record that would have been Rex Stewart, sorry. But it's funny that Duke wasn't pitting people against each other in that way, but he was letting somebody have the whole song and letting them do two different shades of themselves in a way. And there's one or two other examples that pop up throughout the night when we were running it at soundcheck. It was the first time I've ever noticed that. So it just shows you the kind of beauty of doing this. Even if we've done Duke a couple of times, there's always new little things to find. So, all right, we're gonna close out with one more song this set. We're gonna meet the band on the next set, but I feel like that last song, you could have closed a set and walked away and like mic drop, walk away, you're good. But we're gonna do one more, take it up a notch. This is a tune that was recorded in 1942. It wasn't released until later, but this is a hot one. It's one of my favorites. But this one does have different people on different chairs kind of going back and forth more in that bassy way. So here is our last song of the set. My name is Jonathan Stout. This is my orchestra. This is the music of Duke Ellington and his orchestra. And here is Main Stem. Give it up for the music of Duke Ellington. My name is Jonathan Stout. This is my orchestra. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. 2 more sets of Duke Ellington.
What an incredible end to a first set.
Singing the blues. All right, thank you very much.
shake it and break it and hang it on the wall. Throw it up and catch it before it falls. I'm going away and I won't be back at all. We're gonna shake it and break it and hang it up on the wall.
Thank ya. All right.
From the tip-tops of the misty mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, Jonathan Stout and his orchestra extraordinaire come to take you from the bandstands of Harlem to the amphitheaters of Newport. From trembling trumpets and growling trombones to elegance personified in form and style, tonight it's all the master of swing and serenade, Duke Ellington.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jonathan Stout, and this is my orchestra, and we are so excited to present to you set 2 of an evening of the music of Duke Ellington and his orchestra. That song, which you all immediately recognize, is, of course, Take the A Train. When Duke Ellington met Billy Strayhorn, Billy contributed that piece. He wrote and arranged it for the band. And it says a lot about how much love and respect Duke Ellington had for his friend Billy Strayhorn, that he abandoned using East St. Louis Toodaloo as his theme to change it in favor of that song, a song that Duke didn't write. But he loved Strayhorn so much he thought, that's what I'm going to do. And the fact that Billy Strayhorn was a queer man was a thing that Duke absolutely loved him and loved working with him. It was obviously an obstacle and something that he had to contend with. But we're going to be celebrating a whole bunch of Billy Strayhorn's amazing contributions to the band as we go on. And so we're going to move it on to our next tune. This is something our good friend Keenan McKenzie transcribed for us. Obviously, if you're looking at the stage, you can see that it's time to welcome our featured vocalist at Lindy Focus, Laura Windley. From 1940, here's a tune called So Far, So Good.
Such a romantic future for two, for you, for me. So now you're mine, so all is fine. I'm so lucky in love, knock wood, so far, so good. Take a peek at the future. Tell me, what do you see? Such a romantic future for two, for you, for me. So now you're mine, so all is fine. You're the key to paradise. You're so grand, so fine, but let me knock on wood. So far, so good.
All right. Up next, we're going to do a tune written by Duke Ellington as a feature for Johnny Hodges. We're going to feature Nathan Tokunaga on this one. This is a real nice mellow bop. This is called "The Gal from Joe's." Next for you, we are going to do something from 1932. We're going to bring Laura Windley up to sing on it. This song and its title are perhaps one of the most important sentiments in all of jazz. It was written by Duke Ellington. The words are credited to his manager, Irving Mills, and whether or not Irving Mills actually wrote those words is open for some debate, but it was a common thing that somebody like a manager might get a cut of songs, and sometimes the band leader, who didn't necessarily write a song, might get a cut if one of their side musicians had written a song. But in this case, I think Duke gets most of the credit on this one. We do for you now, It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing.
what I do, what I do, what I do, da da do, da da do.
Laura Windley, everybody. All right, our next tune is going to slow it down quite a bit. And this is a song Duke Ellington recorded several times early on. The most famous version has been published, and you can buy that through places like the Essentially Ellington Project at Jazz at Lincoln Center. But I went ahead and modified the chart to do a slightly different version that Duke recorded in the same year of 1928. And this one featured singer Baby Cox with some killer scatting, along with a guy named Lonnie Johnson, who was a very early jazz guitar player and blues guitar player, who's famous not only on his own, but for doing a series of groundbreaking duets with Eddie Lang. And so we play for you now, The Mooch. Laura Windley. That was Gordon Now on the Bubba Miley plunger trumpet. Chloe Feoranzo on the clarinet. Our next song is something written by one of Duke's all-star side musicians, a trombonist named Juan Tizol. And Juan was famous for playing a trombone with valves, so it's fingered like a trumpet without the slide. And that was an important part of the Ellington sound. This song was written by Juan and arranged by Duke for the band. And this is a song that, even aside from the Duke Ellington version, you've heard a million times because it's a jazz standard. And one of the things that's kind of interesting sometimes is when we lose connection with that original version. Sometimes when you go look up that original version, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing just slays. And this is another one of those examples of, like, if you've slept on the original version of this song as recorded by Duke Ellington, you're really missing out. So I won't tell you the whole joke about the guy who goes to heaven and wants to see the jazz band, about Perdido. Ask a friend who's heard it in the past and you'll get that. Go look up a Lindy Focus video from years past. You'll hear the terrible joke. But we'll play for you now a song that means lost in Spanish. This is called Perdido. One of the things I mentioned about Basie the other night is that after 1950, Basie really has a whole new era in his career. And other than Freddie Green, he's mostly surrounded with new musicians who weren't in his previous band. And it really had a very different sound, and they're really two different chapters. And there's a Basie-ness to both of them, but they're definitely quite different. One of the things I think I love personally as an Old Testament man is that I love the way that Duke Ellington seemed to always have a lot of alumni in the band. And people would come and go over time. But in the 50s and the 60s, you still had many people that were in the band coming back that had played in the band in the 30s and 40s. And I love that sense of institutional memory and tradition that it gave. And so even when it's a sort of latter-day recording, I think there's something a little bit special too about it, for me at least. So we're going to do one of those latter-day recordings. This is taken from the Newport Jazz Festival from 1958. Here is called Feet Bone. All right, everybody. So for this next announcement, I'm going to ask a little favor of all of you. And that is to be very quiet. Because I need to set some context to this next song. And it's very hard to do if people are chatting about. So we just ask that you, for this song at least, just wait to talk to your friends for a second. So if you're having a conversation right now, could you just pause it for a second? Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that because the history of swing music and jazz is the history of not only America, but especially of black culture and the black experience. And it is something that should be handled with sensitivity, care, and concern, especially when you are maybe not a member of said community. Because I don't have that lived experience, and as much as I want to talk about the nuances of it and help give this music life, I have to be mindful of the fact that it is not my lived experience quite the same way as it is others. And so we have played this song many times, including here at Lindy Focus, and it has always been sort of important to set the context of this song. And this year, I got a gift. And it was funny because at first it was like, oh no, this is really awkward and I'm so sorry, because I was having a conversation with someone who had heard, hey guys, I would really love it if we could hold it down. This is like the heaviest thing I have to do all week is make sure I get this right. Because the story starts off with me talking about this song, and I was speaking extemporaneously, and the way that I said it, I phrased it a little bit incorrectly, and I sort of attributed more meaning to something Duke did than I meant. I talked about how this song is kind of a heavy subject, but it's wrapped in this killer throwdown swing out song, and I sort of said that it was his intention to wrap the spoonful of medicine in that sugar, the medicine in the spoonful of sugar. And this black dancer asked me, hey, I had some questions about this, and she was willing to share with me her point of view on it, and it was really, really illustrative to me because, like I said, it's not my lived experience. And while I hadn't quite intended to say that it was his conscious object, I was more meaning that that's one of the benefits of writing serious social commentary in a jam. But she pointed out something that I was aware of, but I just had not connected. And it was really meaningful for me that she shared this with me, and it's a reminder for me to tell you all that every time I get up on the microphone, or any one of us gets up on this microphone and tells you about this music, we're not perfect. And sometimes we might misstate something, so always, we're doing the best we can, and just know that, I might not get it quite right perfectly every time, but hopefully the spirit, is conveyed and the good stuff goes along. But I was so grateful that she shared this with me, and it immediately threw me back to something else that I had heard. And it was from a book by Ted Gioia, and it was his history of jazz. And there are many histories of jazz that talk about the fact that New Orleans was a surprisingly tolerant place for the practicing of African cultural traditions among enslaved peoples, partially just because of the Catholic faith of the many French people in New Orleans, that they didn't care as much as the Protestants in New England, and that's just sort of one of those things. So you had places like Congo Square where enslaved people could get together and dance and make music and share those cultural traditions. And that's often talked about in the history of jazz. But Ted pointed out this really brilliant thing, which is that, and I say this a little bit lovingly and a little bit joking, but New Orleans was kind of a cesspool. It's below sea level. It gets really, really humid, and there's bugs, and people were dying of diseases all the time in the 1800s in a way that they weren't necessarily in other places in America. And so what developed was this amazing kind of memento mori culture of celebrating even in death, celebrating even in adversity. And that's exactly what this dancer was pointing out to me, that is like a core part of the African American culture, is not the celebrating through adversity, but celebrating including the adversity, celebrating through the adversity, and that's a part of it. And that's what this song is about, because this song is about the Great Migration. It's about leaving the Jim Crow South, fleeing to better places. And it turns out those green pastures were just a Technicolor movie, because they went to places like the West and the North. And guess what? People were still racist. Maybe they weren't as overtly racist, or it wasn't written into the local codes as clearly, but it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't necessarily better sometimes. That's a heavy thing to reckon with. And the fact that this song is still a celebration, it's still a command to jump literally for joy. That's the thing that this dancer, Camille, wanted me to know. And I was so grateful that she shared it with me, because that's what this is. This is the history of jazz. It's being in a place where disease is running rampant, and you have to celebrate and have parties because for tomorrow we may die. And the root of jazz was playing a party. The root of jazz was being functional music to make people have a good time, to forget their cares. The music was in service of a good time. And I think that's one of the things that makes kind of the pre-1950s kind of jazz that swing dancers usually gravitate to. That's one of the things that is really slightly different. Because as jazz matures and it becomes an art music, sometimes it forgets to rock a party. Maybe they don't want to rock a party. They've got other artistic ambitions, and that's great. But I don't want to neglect to value the fact that they're rocking a party. That's important too, right? So we want to be in service of making all of you dance. We want to be in service of making you all have a good time. We want to be in service of making you all jump for joy. No matter what's happening, no matter what the future may be, it's time to swing out. So we play for you now from 1941, from Duke Ellington's Jump for Joy, the title track, Jump for Joy. Put all your cares behind you. This song isn't going to change those cares, but put them behind you and just feel alive, because we're here tonight. Give it up one more time for Laura Windley. I think it's time we meet the band before we play our last song of this set. In our saxophone section, all the way on the end, crushing it on the Barry tonight and clarinet. That's Keenan McKenzie, everybody. On tenor saxophone and clarinet tonight. Give it up for Dan Hitchcock. We're joined by a very special guest joining us for the evening on the alto saxophone and clarinet. That's Dylan Hanan. And the Johnny Hodges here tonight on alto and clarinet. That's Nathan Tokunaga. And tonight on tenor and clarinet, that's our good friend Chloe Feoranzo. Our trombone starting on the far end. Give it up for Rienette Davis. Give it up for Lucian Cobb. And give it up for Mark Gonzales. Of course, our trumpets, currently standing all the way on the end, even though he was standing in the middle a second ago. Give it up for Dave Kosmyna on trumpet. Of course, leader of your late night band last night, leader of the Grand Street Trumpets. That's Gordon Howe on trumpet. Of course, the dean of our trumpet section on lead trumpet, that is, of course, Ken McGee. And on trumpet, give it up for Kris Vargas. On piano, of course, the great Kris Tokarski. On bass, one of the co-founders of Lindy Focus. Give it up for Michael Gamble. On drums, the triple threat himself. Give it up for Riley Baker. And of course, a vision in green this evening, our vocalist, Laura Windley. And as for me, my name is Jonathan Stout. Thank you all so much for being here and helping us celebrate the music of Duke Ellington. And by you being here, you're the people that make Lindy Focus possible. So we thank you so much for joining us here in person. We have one more song to play for you this set. We've got a whole nother set coming up to celebrate the music of Duke Ellington and his orchestra. But we're going to play just one of the all-time swing classics. So classic that even Whitey's Lindy Hoppers dance to it. This is Cottontail.
Jonathan Stout and his orchestra! And the music of Duke Ellington. A few quick announcements.
from the tip-tops of the misty mountaintops of Asheville, North Carolina. Jonathan Stout and his Orchestra Extraordinaire come to take you from the bandstands of Harlem to the amphitheaters of Newport. From trembling trumpets and growling trombones to elegance personified in form and style, tonight it's all the master of swing and serenade, Duke Ellington.
Welcome back, everybody, for our third set celebrating the music of Duke Ellington. Before we go on to our next song, give it up one more time for Brennan Ernst on piano. By the way, our theme tonight of East St. Louis Toodaloo was Duke Ellington's theme from 1927 to 1941 when it was replaced by Take the A Train. And that plunger trumpet that you heard was originated by the great Bubber Miley. And I thought it would be fun to have all three of our jazz-playing trumpet players get a chance on the theme. So you heard from all three, Gordon Au, Dave Kosmyna, and Kris Vargas on that. Each set you had a different Bubber Miley. We're going to move things along for our next set and do one of the times when Duke didn't play a song that he or one of his compatriots wrote. This is one of those times where Duke played a good song. This one comes from Clarence and Spencer Williams, and it goes back, very, very early. It's called the Royal Garden Blues. And this particular version was arranged by the great Billy Strayhorn, who is one of Duke's dearest friends and closest collaborators, and just was an amazing artist. And we play for you now this version of the Royal Garden Blues, recorded by Duke and the band in 1946. The Royal Garden Blues. You heard from Gordon Now on the first trumpet solo. Mark Gonzales on that trombone. And of course, topping those killing high notes at the end, that's Ken McGee. Up next, we're going to do our final song from Jump for Joy. We talked about the song, but I wanted to mention that Jump for Joy was a musical production undertaken in 1941 in Los Angeles, centered around Duke Ellington and his orchestra. And it was deliberately by design, not only an all-black production, but an all-black production that was deliberately for a black audience and not at all for the white gaze. And so they talked about things like the literal death of Jim Crow and Uncle Tom's Cabin being just a chicken shack now. And this song is a similar sort of commentary and love letter to the black experience. We bring Laura Windley to sing it for you now. This is called The Chocolate Shake.
Chocolate shake. Venus de Milo had charms. She gave the Greeks quite a break. Now that poor gal is minus her arms, her dough and the chocolate shake. It was under an African sun that Stanley met old Livingston. While the gal shook their fruit, he blew on his flute, zigging the zack while en route. So they introduced a new thrill. They killed him on old Sugar Hill. Then it spread like a rhythmical wave, keeping Manhattan away to win the chocolate shake.
We're going to keep Laura up for another one. And This song recorded by Duke in 1945. Keenan McKenzie, our very own Keenan McKenzie, was kind enough to transcribe this. I always thought the title of this referenced Otto Hardwick, who was one of the saxophone players in the band, and apparently no relation. Not a lot of guys named Otto, you know, in the Duke Ellington band, but not the Otto of this song. But the command still works. Here's Laura Windley singing, Otto, make that riff staccato.
Choppy is the motto. Play a hot staccato. Otto, make the riff staccato. I got an obligato. Do ad-lib vibrato. Don't track us with your corny lick. You are strictly on a nowhere kick. Otto, use that old legato. I will not play Otto and make that riff staccato.
We're going to do one more song that shows an example of the Duke Ellington Band playing a traditional tune. This next song is something that I think we've played upwards of like 4, maybe 5 versions of in different Lindy Focus past. I think we only have... Okay, so... No, there's 4. There'll be 4 versions of this song that the bands have played this week. But this is a very old song. This is W.C. Handy's The St. Louis Blues. it may be the most recorded jazz song of all time. And this is Duke's own arrangement for the band from 1946, originally sung by Marion Cox, but sung now for you by the great Laura Windley. And I just want to point out one little delightfully specific Ellington thing. But if you listen to the saxophones on this song, there's all this like billy-up, 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 billy-up. And all that billy-up, as it were, is like, you're not going to find that in a different band. Like, that's like so just the vibe of a Duke band. And so if you've heard us play this song before and you've never noticed that little thing, listen for it. It's delightful. It's just one of the many little Easter eggs in every Duke song. So here is the St. Louis Blues. Give it up one more time for Laura Windley. You'll see her tonight at late night. And of course, all week long. Our next song is one of the simplest jazz songs of all time. And I will prove it to you. It goes like this. Boo, 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 boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Congratulations, you are all now jazz vocalists, ready to scat in your own jazz band. You know, they talk about the music component at Lindy Focus and all the jamming, and look at all of you guys. So, something as simple as that seems like it would be trivial. But in the hands of Duke Ellington, of course, it rules. And he first debuted it as the Sea Blues with one of his small groups. And in 1942, they recorded this version of the Sea Jam Blues. Rienette, who originally sang Bleep Blip and played the trumpet solo on Take the A Train, also played violin, and he actually broke out his violin on that. We don't have a violin on stage, so I'm gonna play it on electric guitar. I hope you don't mind the alteration. But we just happen to have one here. I thought it would be fine. So anyway, from 1942, here's the Sea Jam Blues. I'll take the opportunity to just thank my good friend Kevin Solanic from Boston here. Besides being a great dancer, he's a fine guitar player, and he's got some nice instruments, and he's kind enough to share them. So I don't have to bring my 1937 Gibson ES-150 because he brings me his 1936. May every musician be as lucky to have a friend like Kevin. What a guy. Oh, I almost forgot there's a 1939 EH-150 amplifier to go with it. Yeah, it's pretty good. I agree. We're going to start the song now. We have time for one more song for you tonight. Give it up for this amazing band. All the way on the far end on clarinet and baritone saxophone. Give it up for Keenan McKenzie. He leads his own band, The Riffers, as well as leading Late Night Tonight. On that last clarinet solo, also playing tenor saxophone. Give it up for Dan Hitchcock. Our special guest tonight on alto and clarinet. Give it up for Dylan Hanan. In the Johnny Hodges chair on alto saxophone and clarinet and soprano, Nathan Tokunaga. And on tenor and clarinet, give it up for Chloe Feoranzo. Our trombone section all the way at the end, give it up for Rienette Davis. Of course, co-leader of the Mint Julep Jazz Band, that's Lucian Cobb. And our good friend hailing from Austin, Texas, that's Mark Gonzales on trombone. Leader of your late night band last night and the Grand Street Stompers, that's Gordon Howe. Out of Toledo, Ohio on trumpet, give it up for Dave Kosmyna. We're going to skip one because we've got a good friend that I originally met back in Austin, and now he's serving overseas, and we're so lucky that we get to have him back for this event. Kris Vargas on trumpet. I agree. And of course, the dean of our trumpet section, our commanding officer, the sergeant major himself, that's Ken McGee on lead trumpet. On the piano, everybody give it up for Kris Tokarski. Of course, on the bass, leader of his own rhythm serenaders and leading the band at Late Night tomorrow night. One of the co-founders of Lindy Focus. So this is sort of his fault. I think we can all say thank you. Michael Gamble. Of course, on triple threat, I don't know if at one of the jam sessions you might see him break out a trombone or a bass, but playing one of the three instruments that he plays at an extraordinary level, this is Riley Baker on drums. And of course, we could not render so many of these songs without our featured vocalist here at Lindy Focus, the other co-leader of the Mint Julep Jazz Band, out of Durham, North Carolina, Laura Windley. And by the way, my name is Jonathan Stout. It is an honor and a privilege to get to pay tribute to the music of the musicians we love. And Lindy Focus is a special place because this is the only kind of place where this thing happens. I'm not sure we should be doing a whole night of Duke Ellington everywhere we go. Because we need to be doing, no, I mean that would be pretty good. But there are so many great artists, and if nothing else, our late night set tonight will hopefully show you the music created by people on this stage now. I've referenced it many times from stage, but you know, you heard that NPR podcast, right? You know which one, right? You heard the NPR podcast? With our good friend, Latasha Barnes? You know, I've always been very self-conscious about my own songwriting, and I never really had a place to put it. And I definitely don't put myself in the league as, you know, people like Gamble and Keenan and Gordon here, who are also going to be presenting songs tonight. But the way Latasha put it, she said, it's not enough to reenact a tradition. And I'm probably paraphrasing because it's been a while since I've heard it, but this sentiment just struck me that it's not enough to like reenact a tradition to keep it alive. You have to participate in it and contribute to it. And so our evening of original music later tonight is sort of the payoff. And one of the things that allows us to come up with that music and to have that steeping in the tradition that makes that music as reverent and as worthy to carry on that tradition is by doing this kind of thing. And Lindy Focus is the only place where we get to do these deep dives. It's the only place where I notice, finally, after several years of doing this, that Count Basie would always split up his solos, whereas Duke Ellington would let the same person play, even if it was a muted solo and an open solo, instead of having two different kind of battling voices. What an epiphany. It just, you know, like the 5th Duke Ellington night we've done. This is a special place. You all being here make this possible. Lindy Focus does not happen unless people show up, and you guys are so important for making this happen. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for making Lindy Focus possible. Obviously, there's also a huge team of people who make this possible, but none of them would have the chance to do that job if it weren't for you guys. This is a great example as our closing song of the sense of tradition. Duke was one of the bands that when he made an arrangement, he would update it every time somebody new came into the band. If Cootie Williams left to go play with Benny Goodman, instead of replacing him with somebody that sounds like Cootie Williams, he replaces him with Ray Nance. And Ray Nance is also a great vocalist and violin player, so he jumps to take advantage of that and gives Ray Nance things to do that are Ray Nance things. And the signature personalities of everybody in the band were always the thing that Duke was highlighting. And so he might play a song in 1930 and then update the arrangement in 1941 and then update it again in 1946 and then update it again in the 50s and then into the 60s. So we play for you now as our closing song, a song that goes all the way back to 1930. But this particular version is more like the 1950s version. And I just absolutely love getting to play this song, and I love getting to share it with you. I think it's the perfect capstone on a night of Duke Ellington. Let's rock it in rhythm.
Let them know you love it.
Thank you so much for joining us for a night of Duke Ellington. We would love to play all night for you, but we have a late night. But the good news is that we do have time for one more song. And also with you. So we've, the last couple nights, we've sort of played a hot one and then played another really ripping hot one. But we're going to do something a little different tonight. And owing to the way that Duke kind of kept updating his band and always kept it both steeped in tradition and steeped in songs that he had written years ago, but he always kept them updated. And this is a great example because this is a tune that actually goes back earlier than this, but I think most people associate this with the Newport concert. And we're going to feature Nathan on the Johnny Hodges chair on this one. And this was a feature for Johnny, named for him, one of his many nicknames. Our last song tonight, my name is Jonathan Stout. This is my orchestra. We will see you at late night after this. And tomorrow, we provide to you the debut of the music of Erskine Hawkins. But for now, let's get down to Jeep's Blues. One time for Nathan Tokunaga. And this whole band. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody.
One more time for Jonathan Stout and his all-star orchestra. And the music of Duke Ellington. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.